but I'm going to take a second and introduce machine metrics. So when we think about manufacturing, it doesn't fail at planning. It fails at execution. ERP systems tell you what should happen, but what happens in reality happens on the shop floor. The gap between those two is where margin, delivery, and quality fall apart. Machine Metrics is an AI-powered manufacturing operations system that closes that gap, transforming real-time machine data into actionable intelligence at the point of execution. Today, hundreds of manufacturers across the globe have deployed Machine Metrics platform to plan, track, analyze, and improve their operations. Fast to deploy, easy to configure, and powerful results without having to rebuild the wheel from scratch every time. Bill Byther is the co-founder and CEO of Machine Metrics and a two-time manufacturing software entrepreneur on a mission to revolutionize the factory floor. He's building the future of where AI agents work alongside humans to turn production chaos into intelligent, adaptive operations that respond in real time. I think it's no shock to everybody that I think you may hear quite a bit about agents over the next few days. So please welcome me introducing Bill to the stage. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me okay?
Excellent. All right.
All right, well, I'm really excited to be here on stage today to prove a few things to the audience here. And as Remus so kindly introduced, Machine Metrics, we're here really to close what we call the execution gap. And the problem that you all know is really the hardest problem in manufacturing, which you take an order from a customer, you decide that the parts of the customer want, they're due at a certain time. You figure out what you need to make, what all the sequences are to make that part, and then it rolls out to the factory floor. And then what often happens once the order hits the floor is reality doesn't quite always match the plan. So setups overrun, machines break down. Your operator with all this tribal knowledge might be out for the week. And next thing you know, your team is firefighting. They're not really working to the plan. They're just trying to get to the end of the day. So that's really what we find that 51 vendors here are really trying to solve, right? So we have this gap. And Machine Metrics does it in a different way. But if you rewind back, even more, a couple decades ago, the term MES was something that was established, a manufacturing execution system, to help solve this problem. The problem with MES is that these have been monolithic systems, right? They have not been very flexible to changing manufacturing needs. So if you change your process, you have to hire a team of consultants to change your system to match that process. But what often happens is that you end up not changing the process. You essentially meet the needs of the systems as opposed to your process meeting the needs to your process, and that's a problem. And there's a number of ways to solve this. What we found here in this community, there's a unified namespace, right? And this is a great concept where you have all of your data in a central repository, and then many different vendors can access that same data. So you have best-of-breed systems that will connect. And what we found amongst our customers is that it's a really difficult path to get to UNS. Most of our customers don't start there. They don't have an UNS. And it also takes quite a bit of time just to get your machine data. And then you need to transform it. You need to build user experiences on top of that. You need to build agents. And you're going to have to pick and choose many different vendors to get that done. And you're still talking about not only months, but potentially years to build that fully operational system. So there is I guess Walker Reynolds has said this a number of times, that there is no such thing as an out-of-the-box MES. So I'm here to challenge that. So I'm here to prove Walker wrong. I'm not sure if he's in the audience here, but I'm going to do my best. And because I think there is a better way. And so Machine Metrics, I call it we're a smarter way to run your operations. We do typically focus on discrete manufacturing. That's where we started. Some of you might have heard of us when it comes to machining-centric manufacturers. We do a lot of work in medical device, heavy industry, aerospace defense. And we're commonly connected to machines like CNC machines, plastic injection molding, fabrication. But what we find, even amongst our discrete manufacturing customers, is that they do have other manufacturing processes, so you need to be flexible. And so what Machine-Metrics is, we're an AI-powered operations system that's really purposely built for discrete manufacturing. And what makes us unique is that first, the connectivity layer. So we have a whole edge connectivity layer with out-of-the-box connectors to all the different PLCs, machine controls. Even if you have older equipment, we can connect to sensors, and we make that very easy. And then we automatically transform that to a common data model. So every customer has a common data model, and that's a key ingredient, and I'll get to that a bit later. Then once you have your connectivity, you have your machine data transformed to this common data model, then we produce out-of-the-box Core 4 MES capabilities. So remember what that is? So OEE, so your performance tracking and analytics are on that, downtime tracking, work order management, and scheduling. So all of this is available out of the box. But as we know, that's not everything. That's really the start. What we like to do is when we implement Machine-Metrics, we want to get you started as fast as possible with the core capabilities that are similar across discrete manufacturing. But it doesn't end there, because there's all these other processes, right? You have quality, inspection, maintenance, different flows of your data, and compliance requirements. So we have built in the past year a whole agentic AI layer on top of Machine-Metrics that is driving really the intelligence. That's the intelligence layer. And the way that we can form that for each manufacturer that's different is that you can train that with what we call the knowledge hub and runbooks. And I'm going to show you that in a bit. And so that means that the system understands your plant. And then on top of that, we have a whole applications framework. So you can use modern agentic coding tools such as Cursor, Replit, Lovable with our recently launched MCP. It's a remote MCP, so you don't have to host it yourself, and it's secure with a token. And you can use that to build native applications that are deployed within Machine-Metrics. So when your users are using the platform, they don't even know that it's not something that came out of the box, that it was is added on later through these agentic tools. So I will show you that in a bit. So the challenge at ProveIt was we had 3 manufacturers to choose from, and not one of them was discrete. So when I was facing this problem, I was like, oh, what did I get myself into here? We're a manufacturing ops platform for discrete manufacturing. The only manufacturer that came close was this Enterprise B. You've heard about them. Tulip just presented them previously. And they're a beverage manufacturer. They have 3 sites. They do their continuous batch with a little bit of discrete. So we chose this manufacturer, and we figured that we would give it our best shot. And then also in a spirit of the fact that Machine-Metrics is quick to implement, we didn't start this until 2 weeks ago. And so it was, and the other challenge that I had is, we're a pretty efficient company. We closed a lot of business last quarter. My entire team was implementing new customers. So I couldn't afford to bring an applications engineer on. So I decided to take it on myself. And I'm not a developer. Maybe a little bit, but not really. Okay, so this is what we did. I had some help from my team, but the first thing really is machine connectivity, right? So typically our customers, they don't start with a UNS, so this part was really easy. Essentially, we have a whole edge platform with all these connectors. I'm actually going to show you. So what this looks like is we have an edge device here that we set up. So we bring an edge device online, either physical or virtual. And then we add machines here. So you can add a new machine, and then in the data, we have different data collection methods. So you could see here all these different machine controls that you can add, and the one that we use is MQTT. right? That's the one for the UNS. So essentially, all we had to do is connect to the broker, and we used our agentic tool to automatically map the MQTT data items and populate all of the machines. And what this does is it maps that data into our common model. You can see here these data items, and we're able to rinse and repeat that for all the machines. And there's over 50 in just this one site. And once we did that, we have all the data. This is all out of the box, so we can look at any data item over time. We can configure the state so that we know what the downtime is. Even sensors here, right? So this figured out that we had a weight and a flow rate in the tank. And I don't know if we've ever connected a tank like this before. So that was a little bit new. And so after getting the machines connected, this took a few hours. The tool that we use to automatically map is currently outside the machine metrics, but we're actually building that into the flow of the product. And when that is available in less than a couple months' time, this process will take a few minutes. So we're excited about that. We're adding AI all over the product, and it's moving really fast. So the next step really is connecting to the work, to your ERP. And the way that we typically do that is we have to find out, this is part of the discovery, like what ERP system does our customer use? Is it one that's more off the shelf? Is it custom? We have ERP connectors for kind of your standard manufacturing, call it mid-market ERPs like Epicor, Infor, a number of others. But a lot of our customers have a custom system, right? It might be SQL-based. So we have a whole SDK that makes that really easy. It isn't about creating something new. It's leveraging the SDK, figuring out what the SQL queries are. Usually you can use AI to help you with that. And then you have your data flowing from the ERP. In this case, though, the ERP data actually was in the UNS, so we didn't have to do that. But that's typically what we would do. The next step is we have to tie it together. And this is actually a super unique value prop for machine metrics, is that we're tying the machine data with the operational data. We can automatically do that. And the work that we've done in machining means that we often connect to these palletized machines, right? So you might run 20 different jobs that the machine is automatically pulling, and the information in the PLC tells us what's running. And so we tie that in with the ERP data automatically to link it together. So we were able to use that in the UNS to understand what was running on the machine. So we have a work order that's running and it's changing over. We tie that in automatically. So all of our other systems will populate. Let me show you that. So if we go to the, actually I have it up right here. So these are all the work orders. You can see the resource that they're assigned to, and it's all here in our common data model. Okay, and so now that was done, and so now it's all configured. So there's really one step left. So if this was a discrete manufacturer, we would be done. We could start using the Core 4 capabilities. But this one's a little bit different. They're a beverage manufacturer, and we've never connected to beverage manufacturers. So what we have a new feature that we added. I guess it was mid last year, called the Knowledge Hub. And what the Knowledge Hub is it's a place to essentially upload knowledge. So it could be your SOPs, it could be drawings, just random text to inform the system about like how things work. And we call these run books, right? So our AI will start to get confused if the processes are a little bit different. So if you create run books and you inform the AI about the system, then you'll get really good answers, and then everything makes sense. So we built this CapShack run book. Essentially, this was a sort of a description of when feeding in the plant description, the diagram of the plant, and information that just the general internet has on beverage manufacturing. It did a pretty good job on kind of building out what's unique about this plant. Okay, and this is used to train AI. And the other thing that we did is created an SOP. Again, I didn't have access to the manufacturer, but But we were able to, I basically fed it in the data, and it understood that it creates orange soda mix and cola mix, and that there's these various lines using the runbook, and it generated a set of SOPs for changing over. These are the things you have to consider for changing over the mix room and the tanks and the fillers. So it kind of had a good sense. This would obviously be better if I had real work instructions, but just to give you an idea, it's a Word doc that we auto-generated. And with that, we could now ask Max AI about, so what is going on in this factory? Okay, what am I making? What are the bottlenecks? And so we can go to Max AI, and I'll make that bigger. So the first question I asked was, so what is the max throughput in bottles per hour or per day that this plant supports, and how does that compare with actual daily throughput over the last 7 days? So it goes through, and this took about a minute, I guess. And so it understands the max capacity, 1.5 million bottles per day. Actual throughput, you could see we were at like 61% capacity, 59. We had one day that was 29%. So it's saying actual performance on average, 55% of maximum capacity. The best day was 1 million, lowest day was 460,000. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't actually go into my reports yet. This is starting to figure out what this manufacturer does. So, all right, so now let's investigate. And we're doing a root cause analysis. So, so ask me, do you want to dive in more? Yeah, of course, please investigate more. So let's go a little bit deeper here. So it figured out that the primary issue was the availability in the filling lines. And we had a performance speed issue in the labeling, packaging lines, and it provided some recommendations, even a chart. So it basically charted out on the filling lines that what the total output was compared to the capacity. And that was just 2 prompts. It was asking a question and then a yes to go deeper. So let's decide to go even a little bit deeper than that. Let's look at another prior chat history here. Whoops, let's see, just reloaded, here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit deeper. So I mentioned that we created these runbooks, so you can reference these runbooks, CapShack bottleneck runbook, analyze yesterday's plant bottlenecks, and I ran this yesterday. So it found that there was a scheduling issue, and VAT3 was blocked for almost 2 hours at 7:22 a.m. Because all the storage tanks held the wrong product. And so you could see that the right here is kind of giving you the visual, right? So VAT3 is blocked. It looks like we have orange soda mix in all the tanks. Doesn't have any room for cola, and there was a whole cascading effect. So because of that, after 2 hours, it became unblocked. It looks like the downstream impact was not actually that bad, so even though they were blocked, and so it did not cause starvation issues. Okay, that's good to know. And but there was a scheduling and planning issue, so it was not optimized. Okay, so great. We've got all these recommendations, and so let's ask another question. So let's analyze the downstream a little more closely. I'm not sure if I believe it. Could the tanks have not drained as fast as we anticipated? And could that have been the real cause? So we went a little bit deeper. So this is how I actually understood this plant. I have no idea what a beverage manufacturing. I've never been on site to a beverage manufacturer, so I just had to learn. And the data really tells the story. So the root cause became the demand mismatch. Okay, so let me go through all this in more detail, like in our booth. But what I'm getting to here is that it's saying that there's a demand mismatch, that this could be optimized. So I asked the question, can we use the data we have to notify the operators when this is about to happen and predict the issue ahead of time? If so, how? Okay, so how do I fix this? So it's telling me that there should be a predictive tank blocking alert system, real-time data inputs, and here's the algorithm to figure it out. Okay, and here's a real-time dashboard that you could consider for this. And this is what it's going to basically tell you, that there was a critical alert, it was ahead of the blockage. You should change out your filling lines to take out more orange soda. so that you don't block the mixing lines. And here's some recommendations. OK, awesome. So this is what I did. So I took that context, that whole chat, and I put it into a cogen tool, whatever your favorite one is, hooked up our MCP to it, so that our MCP understands how to generate queries and can generate queries with your data. And I said, build this. And it went ahead and chugged along. I used, I think, the Opus 4.6 model, which is pretty good. And within like 5 minutes, okay, it came back. And I was doing this yesterday, actually. I changed my whole presentation because of this. And it came back with a dashboard. And that dashboard looks like this. Let's see. So this was the dashboard that I came up with. Now, I actually gave it about 3 or 4 more prompts to get here, but it was just like this. So there was a couple little design tweak issues and other things that I kind of gave it some ideas, but this matched what Max AI told us that we should build. And you can see it all here. So we have, like this is right now, okay? So coal line's running 39% of rate, tanks will drill slower than expected, so it's informational. Here's the vats, the tanks, the filling lines, and the labeling lines. Okay, let's go back to that point in time. This is one of my prompts, like, hey, show me what this would look like historically. So let's go to, I think it was 1:30 a.m. Okay, so now we're showing the plant at when this found. So here's a critical alert. So we've been blocked for 7 minutes, switch a filling line product now to drain tanks faster. Okay, so we can see it. This is blocked. All of the tank lines are orange soda, and we're running cola and orange soda here. So it gave a really interesting recommendation, and this is like 3 or 4 prompts in. So awesome. Well, this is great, but I need to look at this dashboard. So the next thing I did was, all right, so build me an agent that will notify the operator ahead of time before this occurs. So using the same algorithm, and I told it to use N8N. Does anybody know N8N? It's kind of cool. If you don't, you should check it out. It's an open source agent builder. And essentially, it created this workflow in a file, a JSON file. I imported into N8N, bang, okay? I had to add credentials to it. So what it does is it runs every 60 seconds, does our authentication to the machine metrics APIs. It fetches, so our MCP understands how to pull the data, so it figured out what the query is. And then it ran this prediction engine, which is a bunch of JavaScript that I never looked at, which is the algorithm. And then it runs through a test to see if the alert changed from last time, and if there's a new alert, it runs an LLM, and to give you more context. And bingo, that's the alert. And let me show you what this does. So let's go ahead and execute that workflow. Okay, and what you'll see, where's my MQTT? Oh, there it is. Okay, so what you'll see here is the alert. So we just had an alert. This is an MQTT. It's true now. Highest severity, critical. VAT2 is completing transfer, but cannot find available cola mix. Okay, this is the LLM response of what it's doing. So here's a root cause. We have a problem. And if you go to our, here, this is our operator panel. It alerted you. So hey, this is a test message because there's no bottleneck right this moment. This is telling you what happened, and you should take action and consider switching a filling line. So it's right there. So I can dismiss that, take that action. Okay, so there's a simple agent that was built essentially using our AI. And I do want to point out that this runs every second. You don't really want to run an LLM every second. So the agent built the algorithm that we're then running in a workflow. You could have this build actually run, and I was thinking about doing this, but I didn't get it in time. You could run like a nightly analysis that looks at the whole day and does a really deep sort of detection to see what's wrong and send a message. That was one of the things I was thinking of doing, but didn't get to it. But you can imagine all these different use cases that you can use when you have the intelligence in the system. So, all right, so the other thing that, that we're able to do is, so I gave you a view of that. So we ended up building a custom operator panel for a continuous batch. And it used to be that these things were really hard. It would take months to build. But what you can see here is an application that was built using our embeddable framework. We have these guardrails that we put in place. So you can't build, well, I shouldn't say you can't build bad code, but you can, but it's much harder. It knows how to generate knows how to query the back end, and we have a whole design system, so it looks just like it was built by developers at Machine Metrics, but it wasn't. And then you can embed that, deploy it within your site. And that's what this operator panel is, and this is a full system, I have to say. So, for example, we can, right here, we can log in. Let's see, I'll be Marco here. I'm already logged into these packaging lines. Let's go to the dashboard here, and close out Max AI, and let's look at what's going on. So here we have a shift summary. This shift summary is automatically generated every time somebody else logs in. It uses Max AI, tells you what happened last shift. It looks at all the operator notes. It looks at all the performance. You can configure it the way that you want, and it's giving you an idea of what to do differently. Your work order performance, your sort of the line performance, it's all right there. And you remember earlier I mentioned that we had this work instruction, 17-page Word document that we put together. I scrolled through. You didn't see any checklist there, but I asked AI, or when this is being built, generate a work instruction when an operator changes over. Just give me a set of checklists that need to be checked off before you change over the job. So let's go, and we're in orange soda right now. Let's go to cola. And okay, so this had to regenerate. I had this cached before, but that's okay. What this is doing is it's going to the agent, and it's figuring out how to actually make the work instruction, and then the operator selects all the options, a checklist, and then you can move on and switch over that work. So while that's going, I'll come back to this. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that whole operator interface generates operator sessions. So one of the missing pieces in this whole platform was that there was no operator information, right? So you need to understand from an HR perspective, what operator is running on what machines. You're going to have to do your cost accounting, and typically our system closes that loop. So the operator interface will be what then drives the ERP to create these operator sessions. And so we added that here to this plant. So now we can see whenever an operator was in, how many parts they produced, their efficiency. You can query Max AI for that, and it's all integrated. So we added that as well. And then the other thing that we did is the schedule. So there was no schedule in this plant. I'm sure they have a schedule. Maybe it's on a whiteboard. But we have, again, an out-of-the-box feature for production scheduling. And what you can do is you can add, let's see, this is orange soda mix. We'll put that on here. So you can adjust your schedule as needed, save the changes, and that's what the operator will be communicated to the operator so they know what to work on next. And you can run an agent in the background to optimize this. So those are some of the things that you're able to do out of the box with Machine Metrics and extend with our agentic platform and app framework. So here's a work instruction that I generated. So you can see these are the pre-changeover steps, the labeler changeover. There's a bunch of these things that it figured out. And we can check them off. And let's go ahead and check them all off. And go ahead and start that changeover. So, all right, so now we can complete. 5-second changeover, that's pretty good. And we've switched over to a new work order. So so that just gives you an idea of some of the capabilities that Machine Metrics provides out of the box. And you can extend through these agentic coding agents. And as you'll probably see, as these agents are getting better and better, and they're really good right now, everything is changing when it comes to software development. So building these user experiences used to be so hard, they're not anymore. So having these agents that can help for lack of a better term, like a citizen developer or an operations leader will be able to use these to actually customize and add to the platform. And we're adopting that now, and it's exciting to see some of these results. So how am I on time?
We'll just cut into the next question.
Okay, all right. So, well, this is pretty much it. So, this is based on what you saw. What did we prove with this solution? Well, one, we saw that these line stoppages were due to some bottlenecks, and specifically the VATs that were blocked were due to downstream issues with a filler. They were actually, if you saw in that text, they were changing over to two other jobs at once, so it was a timing issue. And the other problem we saw, there's no real operator context. There is no operator information. So the solution, you just saw the solution, right? So we used run books to help educate the AI, to train the AI to understand. Then we used our out-of-the-box capabilities for scheduling, downtime tracking, OEE, and then the embeddable apps to really customize that look and feel and user experience to solve real use cases. Timeline, it was mostly 1 week, one person, but I did get a little bit of help for this, and I didn't really dive into this until Thursday last week, and so it was there was a bit of work to do there, but a week is pretty good considering the information that we had. And finally, cost. So most plants like this, it's a relatively small plant. It's an annual fee of about $50,000 per year. So the 3 plants is about $150,000 per year. It adjusts based on how many pieces of equipment that you're connected to, but that's approximately what that cost would be for the Machine Metrics platform. And with that, I guess we'll take some questions. Oh, and also, so tomorrow, if you're interested, we can do a deeper dive during our workshop. It's at 2:15 tomorrow. So hope to see some of you there.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Bill. I think I'm going to start with the same question I kind of started with Tulip on, since kind of the same framework around agents and AI. Mm-hmm. How do you validate and maintain that these agents are actually providing you relevant information, concise information, they're not hallucinating? What's that look like within the machine metrics? So,
you do have to validate. Some of the standard stuff is going to get right almost all the time. But when you start stretching it and pushing it, it tends, at least from my experience, it tends to make, it gets it slightly right, but then you ask one more question, you challenge it, and then it nails it. So you do have to validate it. You can't just blindly take what the agent says, especially when it's a general type of question. But what's really interesting is a lot of the use cases, the agent figures out what to build, and then you run it on a regular basis. You don't need, you don't actually need to run an LM every single moment, right?
Yep. All right, questions are coming in. What do you think the best way to connect Machine Metrics platform to, say, something like a SCADA that might already exist in the platform like Ignition?
Yeah, we do that for sure. We can use OPC UA or MQTT just like we did with UNS, and it works just like connecting to a PLC. So connect to Ignition, connect straight to the PLC. It's whatever our customer chooses.
The other one, if you have vibration data or something coming into the broker or the UNS, how would you use agentic AI to run vibration or run root cause analysis on that data? So
agentic AI is not sort of trained on time series data. So for that, traditional machine learning methods like unsupervised machine learning actually works. We do have some specific technology for detecting, like for CNC machines, tool breakages, things like that, where we apply that technology. But in general, it's the results of that machine learning that the agentic AI will kind of use and help in root cause analysis.
Yep. I saw one that popped up through, but we'll start with the top one. Is your data profile available to the public, like on the Citizen Marketplace?
So actually, if you look at I didn't cover this, But if you look at the alerts here, let's see. Oh, maybe I didn't put it in this one. But all of this, and you can go onto the broker, is data that's mapped from machine metrics. And you can see, here's the temperature metric. There is a link to, oh, my computer doesn't like this, to the, oh, right here, the schema. So if you go to the schema, that is public, and it tells you, and that's linked to the SESME profile.
Awesome.
Okay, there we go. So yes.
Is Machine Metrics cloud only or capable of running on-prem as well?
Machine Metrics is a edge and cloud platform. So some of our tech runs on-prem, some of it runs on the cloud. Currently, you do need the cloud component for Machine Metrics to run. I mean, we're on a path for FedRAMP, so if this is a question from aerospace defense, we have a plan there. But yeah, it is a both edge and cloud product.
Cool. You alluded to not always starting with the UNS. Do you have tools within the platform that might help an enterprise build a UNS?
Absolutely. So because we have all these connectors, you can connect straight to your PLC and then export that data in MQTT. So essentially, from that perspective, we become, I guess you could say, an MQTT broker. That's not our business, but that is a way that you can export that data in real time.
I'll steal a question from the earlier one. What sort of LLMs are you running behind the scenes? Are you LLM agnostic? Are you tied to one?
So we run Bedrock. So with that, everything is self-contained within our instance of AWS, and Bedrock gives us access to most of the great models. So so we use cheaper models for some things, expensive models for others, and it's always evolving.
As you look at kind of deploying this, what do you think is the most common use case for the majority of your manufacturers as you deploy this?
So a lot of our manufacturers are deploying this because their ERP systems, they don't track machine data, so you're only getting what the operator types in. So at the end of the shift, they type in, this is what happened. We replace that with real machine data, live machine data, so that you can have a live view in your schedule, a live view on machine performance. That's typically the use case that our customers start with.
All right, you got a tough one here. So what is the UI UX like for the operator? So you said multiple times that you've not been in a bottling plant. So help convince us that these UI UXs are being adopted.
Well, the one that I just built was built like over the last few days, so no operators actually used it. But I'd say that for discrete operations, we have our operator UX being used by thousands of operators. So we kind of know what we're doing. I think I probably had a pretty good start at the operator experience for bottling, but I definitely would want to kind of have operators use it to know for sure.
One thing, do you have an entry point into the Machine Metrics platform, 2-hour trial, 30-day trial? What does it look like for a customer that might want to try Machine Metrics before going all in?
Yeah, so we don't. We used to have trials. We don't do that now. It really is more of a paid pilot, and we'll look at a set of machines, maybe it's 10 or 20 or 5, and we'll get started, prove the value, and then expand from there. So it could be, often our customers will start with a plant and expand to multiple.
How do you handle managing multi-site deployments? So, thinking about building these templates, same kind of question that we had a little bit for Tulip is, as you empower these citizen developers to build all these applications, how do you make sure that there's governance around that so that they're not building the same applications, kind of taking advantage of the work done by other sites and things like that? Yeah,
so there's a lot of sharing between sites. Our platform kind of understands, that if you have one login that can access multiple sites. You can have enterprise dashboards that pull that data together. And these apps that are built, you choose which plant that you want to deploy them to.
I'll take a little bit of the top one there. What does the future look like for Machine Metrics? What's in the roadmap of potential opportunities or things that you're building as part of the platform?
Well, that app framework we're officially launching this quarter. We really are positioning ourselves as more of a platform to build on top of. Traditionally we focused on those out-of-the-box features, and sort of incorporating AI with app development is really what we're focused on this year.
Nice. You mentioned a little bit, you sped through, how you deployed in a week with a couple people. When customers sign up with Machine Metrics, what does it typically timeline to implementation look like outside of just building,
Yeah.
the apps and stuff like that?
I mean, the reality is it does usually take like a month or two, sometimes 3, for a full implementation. A lot of the hard part is getting the IT set up, so your machines are networked and all that. Remember, our customers typically don't have a UNS, so we need to start from 0. And that's usually the longest time, is getting those machines connected. We make it easier through our connectors and our AI, but there's still work involved there.
How do you enable, we've seen Jeff and Walker both kind of talk about the role of agents in this space. How do you still enable the human in the loop to make sure that agents don't run amok and change the schedule, for instance, that's on there? How do we make sure that we approve these things before they happen?
I mean, everything that is built, like for example, our chat agent, there's no actual decisions in the chat happening, right? You're reviewing it, you're understanding it, you're asking any questions. The other agents that are running, as you can see in my example here, you're using AI to kind of figure out what to build. You do have, generally these agents that are making decisions need to be reviewed very heavily, and a lot of trust needs to be gained, and it needs to be a very simple use case for that to be without human in the loop.
You covered a lot of the core MES functionality, we'll say. What about recipe management and related workflow capabilities?
We don't do continuous processing, so recipes are not a concept in our common data model right now. It could be. After this experience, sort of taught me that maybe there is a future outside of discrete for machine metrics, but not today.
You mentioned a lot of AWS. Is it solely AWS? Can you run on some of the other clouds, Google, Microsoft?
Right now, we're running on AWS, so that's our cloud provider of choice. But that could change in the future.
If you look at kind of the trend that we're seeing inside of this whole space, I mean, obviously now with agents, this seems to be the entire topic of the day. Even my presentation right after this is on agents. So as we look at this, what do you think is the next logical step forward in this space of deploying agents inside of a manufacturing environment?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I mean, the reality is AI is not really being used much in manufacturing. It's just starting. I mean, what's been happening in the last 3 years, 1 year, 6 months, it's just accelerating.
Yeah.
And the thing about manufacturing is usually manufacturing is years behind. This industry cannot afford to be years behind. So the key is to make it easy. You have to, you're not going to have a lot of AI experts in manufacturing. It's vendors like us that need to democratize that, make that easy for our customers to implement and trust.
What does the recurring learning look like? So how do the answers from the agents get better over time? What's the knowledge base look like behind the scenes? Because, true story, if you have to continually do that manually, it can get pretty repetitive. What are you guys doing to do reinforcement learning on the models and the agents inside the platform?
Yeah, so our agentic platform is getting better every day. It really is about the context. So, we're building agents behind the scenes and all these tools and, reviewing what customers are asking, what they're trying to do, and improving. The great thing about machine metrics, because it's all one common platform, is that the work that we do, it improves everybody's experience. So it isn't, we're not relying on one customer improving one agent for their operations. It's really intelligence across all of our hundreds of customers.
So I saw one flew through there a second ago. Did you prove Walker wrong? But I think we might have to get a show.
He's not here. Is he here? No, I don't know.
Do we think he proved Walker wrong? Is that an off-the-shelf MES?
I heard yes.
All right, we got some yeses. And then the last one, I always want to make sure I finish with every person that's up here is presenting. If you wanted everybody to learn one thing about machine metrics as they walk away from this presentation, what would that be? What is the one thing you want them to leave this room knowing about machine metrics?
I really think, especially in this audience here, is that there are multiple ways to solve a problem. I think that being open to using a more out-of-the-box platform that gets you to value faster is what I want you to take away from this session.
Awesome. Well, everybody welcome me in thanking Bill for his time and machine metrics on the presentation.
Thank you.